guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with an exciting video I've seen a few people do on YouTube, so I wanted to do it as well. I don't think I've ever done it in the history of my channel, and that is 30 books for my 30th birthday. Today is my birthday. I was born on August 1st. I have a twin sister. We are probably off celebrating with our mom today. She takes off work every time it's our birthday, and I am so excited for that day because it's in the future right now. I am filming ahead of time, but today, August 1st, is my 30th birthday. So I have 30 books that I pulled off of my shelves. They're gonna be so annoying to put back, but these are books that I just want to talk about. They're favorite authors, they have memories, they really mean something special to me, so I'm excited to chat. Also, we are like thriving in the World Cup time right now. I had to pull out my 2019 champs shirt I bought back in 2019 when they won the World Cup, and it's actually Carly's shirt, so it says Lloyd on the back with number 10. Carly did retire after the Olympics. She is no longer on the team, but it is so much fun to watch them play. There's actually a game on my birthday at 3 a.m. and I already told my sister I'm gonna wake up and watch it. So it is hard because it's in New Zealand and Australia, so there's a game tonight, the night I'm filming at 9 p.m., which is like perfect time. But nothing like a wake-up call on my birthday to watch some women's soccer. So I am gonna go ahead and get to the books and just chat about everything I love. The first one, it brings back so many memories. So if you didn't know, I have been in the book community since 2011. I started blogging in 2011. I consistently started posting to YouTube in 2015. I think I started my YouTube channel though in like 2012, 2013. I was in my sophomore year dorm room and I filmed some videos for my blog, and that's where like I did some YouTube videos. But I really started doing videos when I got my own apartment, and so there's like initial videos on my channel that are now private from my bedroom at my parents' house, but we're not going to talk about those. So this book brings back a lot of memories because it was one of my absolute favorites, and that is The Gravity of Us by Brittany C. Cherry. This for a while was one of my all-time favorite books, like of all time. It probably still is. I just have not reread it since reading it way back years ago, and this was just so emotional. So I have always been an angsty, emotional reader. I love and thrive on angst. That is what I want. That is like really consistent throughout the years. I have changed a lot, and like I used to be obsessed with motorcycle romances and mafia romances, dark romances, and then small town romances, and I go through waves of my reading, but I will always go back to an angsty romance. This one is angsty. This one made me cry. I wonder how many books in this pile are ones that made me cry, because I don't cry a lot in books. Very, very rarely do I cry. This one for sure made me cry. I can't even tell you the plot without spoiling anything. I went in not knowing anything in this, and it was amazing. It's Grump Sunshine. It's a forbidden romance, and that's all I want to say. Amazing. I love Brittany C. Cherry. I will read anything she writes. So one of my favorites. Another thing about me, if you have been watching me, you know I love the amnesia trope. I think I have two in here that are amnesia, actually. I almost grabbed another one from a historical author that's amnesia, but this is amnesia, and that is Bittersweet Memories by Katerina Mora. It's okay, the other one I'm obsessed with is in this pile, so just you wait. This one is, I think, one of the first Katerina Mora books that I read, at least the first one I read physically, because I listened to a lot of hers on audio. This one has a time jump too, and if you know anything about me, I love a good time jump because it adds to the angst, and it's like kind of the second chance vibes too, and I just eat that up. They fell in love when they were young. They meet at a funeral, like they meet at a graveyard because they both lost someone in their lives, and he's actually living at a homeless shelter, and she meets him there when she's volunteering, and then her father passes away and she finds herself having to live at the homeless shelter as well. They're madly in love. She gets amnesia, and he doesn't know where she went. So years pass. He is like, I'm gonna find this girl and make her mine, and it's a little bit forbidden too. Angsty as well. I love this. I really like Katerina Mora. I've discovered her this year. Amazing. I will try to speed this up, or else I'm gonna be here for literally forever. So let's go to this. I have like a bunch of stacks around me. Another oldie but a goodie is Raised by Tilly Cole. I was obsessed. This was one of my favorite books of the year when I read it, and I would die if I got that indie version. It's only out in this like bind up right now, and she initially publishes an indie version with this like tatted muscular man on the cover, which I love men on my covers. I love them. But this is a very like dark angsty romance as well. She's dating someone else. The hero, I guess you can say it's an amnesia romance too, because he has amnesia and he doesn't remember anything about his past life except for a name. He is now like in a fighting facility where he literally is like fight to the death. So he fights to the death every night, and obviously he's not the one dying, so he gets to escape, and the only thing he remembers is a name, and that name is of the heroine's fiance. I think they're fiancés. He's a horrible person, but he obviously falls in love with the heroine, and so good. Like, I want to reread this too. So many of these I'm like, I need to do a reread because I loved it. And Tilly Cole, I was obsessed with for a while. I do really like her books. I need to finish the Hades Hangman series. For a while there, I was eating up all of her books and loving them. I have to talk about this one, and I can't go through a video without talking about this author because she is one of my favorite people, and I have become obsessed with her books to the point where people tell me it's annoying. It's just a fact of life, and I share a birthday with this book. So today this book comes out, and that is Glimmers of You by Catherine Cowles, and she sent out these adorable packages, and the books in the packages have foiling on them. They won't, like, on Amazon, but in the package they do have foiling, and it is amazing. This is like why I fell in love with small town romances, was really because I was devouring Catherine's books last year, and I love them, and why I love romantic suspense, and why I love Nora Roberts, and she's just amazing in general as well. And I've gotten to meet her a bunch of times, and I'm obsessed with her. Like, this book is so good. This is a brother's best friend romance, and like one of my favorite tropes too is like they almost had something in the past and then something ripped them apart, and now it's their second chance at like a first chance. And that's what this is, because they were obviously like falling for each other and something happened, and they're both damaged. He is much more damaged than she is though, because he lost a sibling in the past, and that has really affected his family and affected his ability to like let people in. I loved it. I love this author. Can't do a video without talking about her. Okay, then I have another oldie but a goodie, and 2 books by this author on this list. I don't know where the other one went, but Praying for Rain by Bibi Easton. Do you remember, if you've been watching me, how much I was obsessed with this series? It's a post-apocalyptic, which is a genre I definitely need to read more of because it's so fun, because it's typically action-packed, and I really do like action in my romances. And this one, she is trying to survive, and they like stumble upon each other and end up surviving together. So there's this date that everybody's been dreaming of and seeing, and it's like the end of the world. So obviously if people think the world's gonna end, like absolute mayhem is gonna happen. So they're fighting to survive together, and they fall in love. And I love the hero. He's very grumpy, very I'm a loner, I'm gonna do what I want on my own, but falls in love with her. And it's a trilogy, and it's how they survive together. It's so good, so good. And one of the reasons why I fell in love with Bibi Easton and why I love another one of her books. You guys will probably know what it is down here. But let's go ahead. We'll go like old and new. So one of the new-ish-er ones is obviously Sophie Lark. I love Sophie's books so much. I have not yet read Minx, but I really want to. I've read most of her stuff. Well, that's a lie. I haven't finished 2 of her series. I haven't finished the Underworld series or the Kingmaker series, but I will. I will. This one's one of my favorites though. It is a bodyguard cowboy romance with a lawyer. It's Grump Sunshine, where the heroine is the grump and the hero is the sunshine, and it is so good. This series is so good. There were only 2 kind of misses for me, but I was obsessed with every other book in the series, and then every other book I've read by her I've been obsessed with. So I obviously had to talk about her and one of my favorites. He's literally a cowboy bodyguard. He has to take her back to his family ranch to protect her. What more could I want? My mafia and small town colliding? Yes, please. We have another oldie. So this one, if you guys remember, I read it at the end of a year, and it became like one of my top 10 of the year, even though I read it in the last like 2 weeks of the year. And I still haven't finished the series. I am so scared of finishing the series. It's Wolf Song by TJ Klune. This is MM, paranormal. We have basically fated mates. So the one hero, it's just so found family. I'm obsessed. The one hero, he is just like a loner really, and like doesn't really fit in, and then the other hero's family is a pack of werewolves, and they move in like next door to him, and he is just completely embraced into their family and finds a home in them. And they meet when they're young, and so like nothing romantic happens between them, but then like as they grow, it's obvious that they're going to be in love with each other and like they're soulmates. But there is a lot happening in this world where they are separated a lot, and it is so good. There's like a major battle happening at the end too. I can just like, this is a book I read that I pictured it so vividly in my mind that when I think about what happened in the book, I picture those scenes in my mind, which is just so wild to me. Like, I do read a lot and I like see it in my head, but like it's not always like I'll think about it and just see it playing over and over in my head, and that's what this book is. I need to reread this because I got it on audio to reread, but I need to finish the series. I've only read the first 2. I'm scared. These are so emotional and so good that I put them off. I have a problem, I know. Then we have Don't Kiss the Bride by Carrie and Cole. This made me fall in love with this author as well. It's age gap, it's marriage of convenience, and I really like a good contemporary marriage of convenience where it's not like your typical where like it's a billionaire or something like that. Like he's just a regular guy. She's coming from a really horrible home situation where she needs insurance because she has some health issues and they stem from trauma, and he wants to take care of her. So he's like, listen, we're friends. They are friends first. Why don't you marry me so that you can have my health insurance and you can get the help you need? So they get married and they fall in love. And I love this. I know it's not everyone's favorite. I know people have problems with it, but it's a favorite. Like, that's what I'm gonna say about all these. They're favorites. I'm obsessed with too many books. Then we have another newer one that I loved. Normally I don't like toxic and annoying romances, and this book can get annoying, but it is a messy, toxic good time, and I am a fan of messy and toxic and angsty. And that's Magnolia Parks. I'm so happy I have the original covers because I saw some of them going for like real expensive on Mercari and like used books sites because the new covers are very Gossip Girl. Tell me the new cover, go look it up, does not look like one of the covers of Gossip Girl that were coming out when I was in like 6th grade. But this is so good. So messy, and just like one of the books that'll make you want to throw it across the room. And I love those. I'm going to talk about one that was like the OG throw it across the room book, but this one, BJ and Magnolia, and like I hate girls like Magnolia. She literally plays with the emotions of every man around her, wants them all to love her, and they all do love her, and she like ruins relationships, but it's obvious that she's meant to be with BJ, even though he cheated on her. That's the whole thing about this book, is he cheated on her, so that's why they broke up, but they're obviously meant to be. If a book can grab my emotions like that, it's amazing. Another oldie, and I love this author so much. I'm so bad at keeping up with authors like current releases. I was obsessed with this series, and that is the Bad Saint series by Monica James. We have romantic suspense, kind of. So like I think the reason I love Mafia so much is because there's so much suspense in them. This one is Mafia. She is literally kidnapped by our hero, and he is taking her to his boss, and it's like they're going on a boat. There's a scene where they're like shipwrecked on an island, and you're trying to figure out how they're gonna make it work because like, does he really love her? He kidnapped her. And I think it was kidnapped like literally on her wedding night. Like her husband set her up to be kidnapped because he like didn't love her in the first place. So it was really good. I love this trilogy so much. I was obsessed with it and I would not stop talking about it. So these are books that if you've been watching me for a while, you're probably like, yep, we remember that. Yep, we remember that. So let's go ahead and talk about a newer one, which is a new favorite, Reckless by Elsie Silver. Elsie Silver has blown up so much, and for such good reason. Her books are so good. For different reasons too, because like Heartless is everyone's favorite, just because the dynamic between them, it was so good. It's a spicy, fun time, and I really liked it. But Powerless is one of my favorites, which is a Friends to Lovers, because I love that emotion. Reckless is a surprise pregnancy romance that I devoured. Theo, literally like the hero to beat all heroes. He is so in love with Winter and so willing to be there for her and drop everything for her and show her how valued she is. She's a damaged heroine, and she really shows that in the first couple books, how she's not a nice person, and we get to see that about her. And Theo doesn't know that she's pregnant until after the baby's born, and the emotional turmoil he goes through for not knowing he had a child, it's amazing. I love this book so much. Then we have another old one, which you guys will know if you have been around for a while. A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner. I'm pretty sure I read this around when it came out. So this came out in 2016, and that's when I was reading Candy. I think I met her in 2017 or 2018. I devoured her books. She was so angsty when she first started writing, like this and Weightless, and just her earlier stuff just was amazing. Like you could not get any angstier than this. This one is one where it starts out when they're in high school, and it's literally right person, wrong time. They can never be together, and a lot of times it's them self-sabotaging, but it's so good. I need to reread this. It's literally been like 6 years since I've read it, but I need to reread it. I love it. It's why I love Candy so much. I wish she wrote angsty like that still. She doesn't. I can't even tell you the last thing I read that was, nothing's held up to that. Nothing is held up to that. And she has not written that angsty in a while, and I miss it. A new one that I love, that I definitely cried in, is Saint by Sierra Simone. This one just her books are so beautifully written, and there's so much more than just like forbidden taboo romances. So everybody talks about the series about how there are people in the church who have relationships when they shouldn't. The first one's about a priest, this one's about a monk, the second one's about a nun in training. Like, sure, they're taboo, but the things that they talk about like life and emotions and relationships are just incredible. And this one absolutely made me cry about just the things that both heroes were going through and how they were afraid of what they were putting each other through, and it was amazing. I cannot rave about this enough. The audiobooks are a whole other experience. Jacob Morgan / Zachary Weber just brings these to life, and I am obsessed. Obsessed. My favorite in the series. If you read Priest and didn't like it, like, please continue because amazing. Then we have my other favorite, which made me obsessed with this author. I'm so thankful for certain books to bring people into my life because QB Tyler is just a gem of a person. And I read Forget Me Not. I listened to an audio. I don't even know why. I was like, look, my Hoopla has this. Like, I've seen it around. I listened to it, obsessed. This is a marriage in trouble, amnesia romance, and I was obsessed. Like, you probably got annoyed with me talking about it so much, but he cheats on her. And they're literally about to get a divorce. He gets into a car accident, loses his memory for the last 5 years. He thinks that they're madly in love. And so he sees her walk into the hospital room. And he's like, hey, like, come here. And she's like, and he's determined to win her back. He's like, how could I ever do that to you? I'm so sorry. This does deal with the loss of a child, so definitely know that, but it's amazing. And QB Tyler's just an amazing person in general, so I want to support her with everything she writes. I have another book by her on this list because I'm obsessed with her. Oh, let's talk about another obsession. I cannot do an obsession video without talking about Gianna Darling. Gianna Darling I read in 2019, I want to say. I was on vacation in the Bahamas and I picked up Lessons in Corruption. I think someone even messaged me. They were like, I was like in prime MC motorcycle romance. I loved it. They were like, the series is amazing. You should read it. Only 2 books were out. And I was like, sure. So I read it, and that was Lessons in Corruption, but my absolute favorite book by her, one of my favorite books of all time, is Inked in Lies. This book, first of all, this is one of my prized possessions. It is so stunning. This is a brother's best friend romance where they have grown up together. They basically lived with his family because of situations, and she is the most amazing heroine ever and falls in love with him. Nova is one of my favorite heroes of all time, and I love the plot of this book. I love the series so much, and it's one of my favorites ever. So I really want to reread it again. I've read it twice. I do have the audio now, so yes. OG Gianna Darling fan, and I have just loved reading everything she's written since. Then we can talk about a historical. I have 3 historicals on this list. So the first one is Indigo by Beverly Jenkins. Beverly Jenkins is my hero, and I will never forget meeting her for the first time, and that was around when I, like, officially in my mind decided I was quitting my job, and I told her about it, and she was like, you go chase your dreams. And I was like, did Beverly Jenkins just tell me to chase my dreams? She is lovely, and I'm obsessed with her, and I literally was like freaking out being in the same room as her. But she is just the queen of historical romance. These came out in the 90s, and this one is one of my favorites by her. It's Hester and Galen's story. Another one I need to reread. I read it a while ago, and I'm just like in awe of her heroines. There's so much to her books beyond just the romance that are amazing, and this one was just a sweeping romance, and I loved it. Queen Bev. So let's talk about a fantasy. We're going to talk about The Serpent and the Wings of Night because this is one of my favorite fantasies of all time, and this is so good. I have not yet read the sequel. I don't read sequels on time. Nothing is new, but this one is like a challenge where they have to enter like this tournament and survive, and she's actually the daughter of the vampire king, and she's human, and there's a bunch of vampires and different powers going on, and it's so good. And I was obsessed with the romance. This is another one that I need to reread, but it's so long. I would love to reread this before book 2. Will that happen? I don't know. Then let's discuss, do we want to discuss another QB? Because I have What Was Meant to Be, which is her dad's best friend second chance romance. I love that she took a new take on a dad's best friend romance because her and her dad's best friend had a relationship, and then he broke it off, and then she was a hot mess. And then she's engaged and getting married, and he's like, you're mine, and shows up to win her back. And There is cheating in here. I just love a good cheating romance. I love the mess and angst in it. This was so good. QB Tyler writes super, super spicy romances. I was obsessed with this, and one of my new favorites by her. #1 fangirl for QB Tyler. Then I have a new author that I am very shocked that I love, and I probably would be stunned if 2015, 2016 me knew I love this author, and that's Nora Roberts. I have been loving Nora Roberts. Again, this is really influenced by Catherine Cowles. She loves Nora. I was like, I love Catherine, and her inspiration is Nora, one of her favorite authors, and it's romantic suspense, and this one, she actually owns an animal sanctuary, and I love animals. I have 2 dogs myself. I show them all the time in my vlogs, if you watch any of my videos, and I loved this one. This one's also a second chance, and it was so good. There's a kind of stalker trying to sabotage her and killing people, and she is very hard-headed and doesn't want to be with him, but it's forced proximity because he's trying to protect her, because he's like, you can't go out doing stuff alone when someone's sabotaging your whole thing you got going on here. So this was really good, and I'm excited to read more from Nora and explore her backlist. Let's go on and do a new favorite, which is Little Lies by Helena Hunting. This one obviously is a new favorite that I have not stopped talking about. This is so good. She writes such angst in this series. Book 3 is coming out this month. I'm so excited. This one is a kind of second chance. And it's also like a second chance at a first chance. So they were super close as kids. He's her brother's best friend, and she was kidnapped very briefly, and that really traumatized everybody, and she was trying to rely on him too much to be able to live. So the parents broke him apart. They're like, just stop relying on each other and learn how to cope yourselves. And so now she is in college, and something had happened when I think she was like a senior in high school or something, where he pretty much was like, stop, it's never gonna happen, and like broke her heart. So she's really angry, and they fall in love, and she makes him grovel, and it's really good. And he's a hockey player. It's so good. One of my favorite books of all time. And this is probably another one where you guys are like, this is no surprise this is on this list. That is Still Beating by Jennifer Hartman. I think I own 5 copies of this book now. This one is phenomenal. They get kidnapped together, and it's her sister's fiance and her. If you give me a siblings fiance romance, I'm going to eat that up. That is one of my favorite tropes. Like, obviously it's horrible in real life. I would never, ever, ever, ever want that to happen in real life, but this is so good. When I tell you, Something Borrowed, the movie, is one of my favorite movies, and that's her falling in love with her best friend's fiance. So much drama and angst, but they get kidnapped together, and they have to do horrible things together, and they bond, and they are the only ones who understand what they went through, and everyone else is like, get over it, move on, and they're like, I can't, and find comfort in each other and fall in love. So this is another one I need to reread. She's my favorite author. Obsessed with her. Then we're gonna go with Devil of Devlin by Baby Easton. This is another one that I read, and I cried at the end, which was so surprising. It's mafia. This is not like anything I've read. The author was like, I just like wrote, and it's not something that other people are doing. It's a mafia romance, but they were soulmates. They met when they were young, and he comes from a very abusive home situation, and she ended up having trauma in her past as well, and they loved being around each other in their childhood and would play together, and it's very like a magical sense. It's in Ireland, and now she is back, and she's engaged to someone else, and she is reunited with him, and then they're on the run from bad people because he is like a hitman for the mafia. Everything I love in a book, and I was obsessed, so it's a favorite of mine. And we're not surprised by that. Then we have Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin. This one is a pirate romance. I love pirate romances, and this is one that does it so amazingly well. Our heroine is actually a pirate captain, and she is currently angry at her husband, and she gets kidnapped by a pirate hunter and starts falling for him. The ending of this book will shock you in the best way possible, and I was obsessed. So good, and I need her to write more. I thought she said she was going to, but she hasn't yet. I have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 left. Oh my gosh, this is never ending. Okay, let's go ahead and do The Earl Takes All by Lorraine Heath. This again is a siblings wife romance where he has been pining for his brother's wife forever. Like, he fell in love with her first, and his brother dies, and they're twin brothers. So his brother, like, basically like on his deathbed was like, take my place, my wife is pregnant, she's miscarried before, I don't want her to feel that trauma, be me so she can have her baby, and then like let her know I'm dead. And he does that, and she's like, you're very different from when you left, and thinks it's because of trauma over losing his brother, but it's really the wrong brother. They're the gorilla twins, if you know, you know, but Lorraine Heath. I love her. Then we have 5 Rounds by Nikki Castle. I love this book so much. The emotion that Tristan shows in this book, it's hate to love, it's a sports romance, he does MMA, but he's so emotional and so vulnerable. He cries, and I was obsessed with him. They had to be roommates because she needs a place to stay. Her best friend is his best friend, and she takes his place in their apartment while he's away traveling, and it's amazing. It's so good, and I love the MMA aspect. I love Nikki Castle. Obsessed, excited. I've realized I didn't know she has a new release coming out in August, and I left that out of my recent video. August 30th, apparently. Then we're gonna have Honey Trap by Tate James. I still have not finished the series, but this was so fun. This one is a group of assassins with a polyamorous relationship. So the one is a hacker, basically, and she is an assassin, and the other hero is the one she's supposed to kill. And she gets kidnapped by him because he's like, you're trying to kill me, I'm gonna kidnap you. They're starting to fall in love, but then her hacker guy is like obsessed with her and stalking her and trying to save her. That dynamic is so fun, and I was obsessed with this book. Book 2 was good, but not like as amazing as book 1, so I was nervous to finish the series, but I might just have to finish it. Another absolute favorite is In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. This is when I was in like my cozy fall vibes. I was reading this at the end of last year, and Beckett is one of my absolute favorite heroes of all time. I love him. The heroine's in social media, and she was very relatable. Samantha from Books with Samantha just read this and talked about how she talks about social media and like burning out and like not knowing who it's for anymore and what your purpose online is. So relatable as a content creator, and Beckett is just the most amazing hero. Like, he is very brooding and grumpy, but he has his own way of showing people that he cares, and I loved that so much, and people really care about him. And the town is very meddlesome and forces them to stay together because there's nowhere for her to stay in town, so they're like, Beckett has room, go stay with Beckett. And it's so cute. Then I have The Kingmaker by Kennedy Ryan. Obviously, I had to talk about her. This is one of my favorite books of all time. My favorite from Kennedy. This one is a time jump as well. Basically, soulmates, they meet when she's pretty young, and there's a little bit of an age gap, so nothing can happen. She's like a teenager, and he's super intrigued by her, and then years pass, and they constantly are connected. There's some suspense in here. There's a time jump. There's 2 books. It's a duet. It's amazing. I'm so happy it got picked up. So this is in bookstores now, and it's so good. I love Kennedy. She can do no wrong in her books. Then I have a newer release that's very angsty that I just love so much, and I need book 2. I know the author's is not ready yet, but The Choice by Ashley Jade is a best friend's girlfriend romance. He basically, I think he met her first, but she bonds over shared trauma with the other hero, and they really fall for each other because of that, but the other hero is like really not a good person, and so our hero is pining for her while she's dating his best friend. There's cheating in here. So angsty. Could not put this down. I was obsessed. And the last book I have is another historical, and that is The Secret by Julie Garwood. This is a Scottish romance where the heroine is British. She needs to go and help her best friend, who is Scottish, have a baby because she promised her that because her best friend's mom died in childbirth. So the laird of the clan is sent to collect her and bring her back to Scotland, and he hates everything English, and they don't start off on the right foot, but it's so good. This is just one of those like sweeping historical romances that is such a classic, and I loved it. That was a long video, but those are 30 romances for my 30th birthday. I am probably just celebrating away today, and I'm very excited. I'm excited for 30. I'm excited to see what this year brings. I have made so many life changes recently and prioritize just doing what I want to do and living life, and I've been loving it. So let me know your thoughts on any of these books, and yeah, that's really all I have. Thank you so much for following me. Thank you so much for watching, and no matter how long you've watched, thank you for sticking with me and just supporting me, and I love you guys so much. So that's all I have. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye.